Picture the scene at the 1990s Detroit Motor Show. The city was shrouded in an icy grip with frosty roads and sidewalks adorned with a blanket of snow. The blistering cold of -5 degrees Celsius lingered in the air, even as the first light of daybreak began to pierce through. In the early hours, a dedicated group of press members and exhibitors gathered eagerly outside the imposing doors of Motor City's Combo Hall Convention Center. Their breaths formed little clouds as they exchanged nods and greetings. They stood close together, seeking shelter from the brisk wind that swept across the urban landscape. Scarves wrapped snugly around their necks and chins tucked in for warmth. Inside, the stage was set for America's most significant automotive spectacle. The industry giants, the powerhouses of car manufacturers, were ready to flex their muscles. Executives prepared their bold speeches, rehearsing lines that would captivate the audience. Meanwhile, a parade of designers and engineers stood proudly next to their latest automotive creations. Their faces beamed with determination and anticipation as they geared up to deliver the well-practiced speech, each one convinced that their innovative vehicles would not only disrupt the market, but also ignite a spark of excitement among eager consumers. And within that building was a car that would reignite the spark within a company and would birth supercars like the Ford GT. You see, when going through Ford's automotive history, there exists a remarkable tale of a supercar born from ingenuity, ambition, and a dash of insanity. The Ford GT90, a car that defied convention. The GT90 emerges as a bold departure from Ford's design traditions, captivating the automotive world with its striking presence and the promise of an astonishing performance. Though destined to remain a one-off masterpiece, the GT90 left many wanting more and questioning why it never came to be. To comprehend the significance of the Ford GT90, one must journey back through the history of Ford's performance heritage. It all began with the iconic Ford GT40, a car that was made with one goal: to conquer the 24-hour of Le Mans. Ford's rivalry with Ferrari on the world's racing circuits birthed the GT40, which would eventually secure 4 consecutive victories at Le Mans from 1966 to 1969, making the GT40 one of the greatest legends from automotive history. This success paved the way for Ford's continued fascination with high performance, and in the 1970s, the GT70 made a brief appearance. Now, the GT70 was built to race in the World Rally Championship and was powered by a small 2.6-litre V6 that produced a lackluster 240 horsepower. I must say that the 70 was kind of a letdown, and the GT70 ultimately lacked the championship-winning DNA of its predecessor. Fast forward to the 1990s, and Ford was still captivated by the notion of a supercar. It was during this era that the GT90 entered the stage, emerging as a radical departure from the norm. The Ford GT90's inception can be traced back to a daring engine experiment. Bob Natkin, an engine designer, devised a unique plan. He took Ford's modular V8 engine, welded 4 more cylinders to the block, and brought their scoped-together V12 to life in a Lincoln Town car. This audacious project, though unconventional, captured the imagination of one man who would change the GT90's fate forever: John Coletti. John Coletti, the driving force behind the Mustang's continued success, led Ford's special vehicle team. And unlike their counterparts in the UK, who focused solely on engineering, the US-based SVT team took on the roles of engineering, marketing, and selling their high-performance creations. Ford had dabbled in supercar ambitions in the past, notably with the GM34 project a decade earlier, which is a car that I also made a full video on. So if you like this video, you'll definitely like that one. But back to today's video. Now, Coletti had different aspirations for the GT90. He envisioned it as a one-off runner, a dream car with no intent for mass production. Coletti entrusted Fred Goodnow, SVT's engineering manager, with the task of bringing the GT90 to life. And Goodnow's team integrated a Jaguar chassis into the build of the GT90. Which Jag? Well, none other than the XJ220. So you know that this car is great from the ground up. That chassis got paired with Jim Hope's avant-garde bodywork and an awe-inspiring quad-turbocharged version of Natkin's 5.9-litre V12 engine. This powerhouse generated an astonishing 720 horsepower, eclipsing the McLaren F1, a car that had recently set a world record for production vehicles. And I know, these days 720 horsepower isn't all that crazy, but this car was made in the early 90s, and back then that number was really impressive. Naming the GT90 was a straightforward affair. It followed the lineage established by the GT40, a name that harkened back to Ford's Le Mans victories. The GT70 had also been a part of this lineage, albeit one that never fully realized its potential. With the GT90, Ford continued this tradition, christening it with a moniker that encapsulates its significance in the GT family. The GT90's design, however, was met by initial skepticism from Ford's senior management and the Detroit press. It was unconventional, a riot of triangles and sharp edges. Yet, when the broader public and international media encountered the GT90, they were captivated by its bold design language. The unprecedented attention that the GT90 received sparked discussions within Ford's senior management about the possibility of production. Fred Goodnow even went so far as to suggest that given a 2 to 3 year development program, they could create a fully competitive supercar, even surpassing contemporaries like McLaren, Bugatti and Ferrari. Yet, the GT90 was born for a different purpose. It was designed to foster new thinking in design rather than serve as a flagship production car. It was never conceived as a vehicle with mass production in mind, and adapting it for mass production presented considerable challenges. For one, the car was built with an XJ220 chassis as its base, so if they wanted to mass produce it, they would have to develop a completely new chassis from scratch for the car, but that would take a lot of time and money. Another solution considered was disassembling more Jaguar XJ220s, but this proved economically unviable. Ford needed a fresh approach. Bob Natkin had developed another V12 engine based on Ford's V6 Duratec engine for supply to Aston Martin. However, using this engine in a Ford supercar would have put Ford in direct competition with its subsidiary, Aston Martin, a politically complex situation. Thus, the GT90 remained a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. It had fulfilled its primary purpose, reigniting the creative spark within Ford's design team. Its influence would trickle down to influence renowned cars. While Ford would not reclaim the supercar mantle from Ferrari, the GT90's legacy lived on in the form of inspiration. The flame that had burned brightly around the GT90 was far from extinguished. It had rekindled the spirit of supercar dreams at Ford. In the early 2000s, as the trend of retro modern design was taking hold, Camilo Pardo, an artist responsible for some early GT90 design sketches, while at Ghia, joined Ford in the US. John Coletti was tasked with engineering a mid-engine GT, and Pardo took on the responsibility of crafting its nostalgic aesthetics. The result was the Ford GT40 concept, unveiled in 2002. While it appeared to be a modern interpretation of the iconic road-going racer, the GT90 had played an instrumental role in reawakening Ford's passion for producing a life-affirming supercar. In retrospect, we owe a debt of gratitude to the GT90, a darling, one of creation that inspired the resurrection of Ford's supercar lineage. Although the GT90 itself remained a solitary masterpiece, its influence persisted, ensuring that the spirit of innovation and high performance lived on within Ford's DNA. In a world of automobiles, it's often the outliers like the GT90 that make the most significant impact, challenging conventions and paving the way forward. But at the end of the video, let me know what you thought of the video and the car. Do you like the design? Do you dislike the design? And do you also think that this car was a massive inspiration to cars like the newer Ford GT models? And I mean, the new Ford GT is a pretty insane supercar. It's just a little expensive, but I really do like it. So let me know down below what you guys thought of the video and the car. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you did like it, you'll most probably like most of my other stuff. So just go through my channel, see if there's something else you like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?